Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we are here for another installment of the weekly meta breakdown, your one-stop shop to see what are the best performing MTG arena decks on the ranked ladder. Each of these videos is a specific format on MTG Arena. This particular video is standard best of one. If you're looking for standard best of three, Explorer, Historic, you can check out those respective videos in the video groups. There's playlists for each, and we come out once a week with each new installment, provided there are enough data. Sometimes for best of three in the more eternal formats like Historic, there's just not much deviation week over week, so we sometimes skip those, but we usually cover best of one at least every week. And we are getting the data from Untapped.gg, which you see on the screen. It's a companion tool that runs alongside your arena client, tracks your win rates, loss rates, syncs your collection with it, so it tells you what decks you can build, what cards you're missing, has a whole bunch of cool in-game overlay functionality as well. So definitely something to check out if you are interested in upping your game, keeping track of like what's winning and kind of making Mythic. I use this a lot to find deck lists to kind of jump up. This month for June, I made Mythic in 3 days. I came in at number 49 Mythic. Playing actually an Alchemy deck and an Explorer deck, which I can show you later. But we'll jump into this for standard. If you want to use Untapped, the link is in the video description down below. Free to use a bunch of their functionality. Link lets them know that you came from here, helps out the channel. But if you're just interested in the deck list, I paste all the deck lists in the video description as well. So each week, if you just want the new hotness, you could just swing by the videos and then just copy paste it into Arena. You know, just net deck. It helps. Especially if you're new, learn how to play decks, play new styles. Nothing wrong with that. Sharing is caring. But we will jump into it. We are looking May 29th to June 5th. Platinum to Mythic rank, and we are 190,000, just shy of 200,000 games of Magic being played. It's a very popular week. This numbers are quite high. In any case, the top performing deck of the week, Boros Aggro. So this is kind of the breakout deck of the last couple of weeks. It is an aggressively slanted Boros deck that's kind of burn-based, kind of modified-based, kind of hasty threat-based. So you're using a combination of creatures, Hopeful Initiate, Bloodthirsty Adversary. So most of the lists are playing 4 Bloodthirsty. It looks like some of the lists now are changing to be 2 Bloodthirsty, 2 Goro-Goro. This gives your other creatures haste. It also lets you have a mana sink if you kind of flood out with the modified ability to create dragons. You're playing Brutal Cathar, you're playing Luminarch Aspirant, you're playing Constructed Staple All-Star, best white 3-drop in the game, Sunrise Cavalier. Day or Night flips, gets counters, 3 mana, 3/3 trample haste, good stats, you throw counters on it, it gets chunky, kind of go to town that way. And then the Thundering Raiju. Another way to put counters on your things, deals damage based on modified creatures to your opponent. So another way to kind of hit your opponent. This is a Furycalm Snarl deck. So, you know, you played Strixhaven, you got these Snarls, they're useless in every other deck. Play Boros Aggro. This deck's actually really fun. I was playing the for Bloodthirsty Adversary version. It's a very powerful deck. It's supplemented with Kumano faces Kakkazan, pings, buffs, and then flips to a creature. And then the big line of text that even in like Explorer and formats, if a creature would be dealt damage this turn, instead of it dying, you exile it. So think I Twitch dies, they don't learn. Any sort of graveyard focused Tenacious Underdog gets exiled. So a lot of kind of nuance there. Also you have burn spells to kind of work nicely with it, 4 Roil Eruption, 4 Play with Fire. And then 1 Valorous Stance. So a lot of these decks are playing Valorous Stance. It helps in the mirror. Another card that like I would be interested in testing is Angel Fire Ignition just in this slot. Just a way to help in the races to kind of swing your life total. So if you want to go quick, Boros Aggro is definitely a deck. Up next in a deck I'm kind of surprised to see with such a high win rate. This is Mono Blue Delver of Secrets. So it's a tempo deck. And really what you're trying to do with this deck is play out an early threat, Ascendant Spirit, Delver of Secrets, have it flip, or you can pump mana into it, and then you just protect it. You have Fading Hope, March of Swirling Mist, Spell Pierce, Essence Capture, Spectral Adversary can be used as a kind of phase out ability as well. You have Geist Snare for counters. Thirst for Discovery kind of filters your draws. And then you have Dreamshackle Geist, so either tap a target creature or target creature doesn't untap during its controller's next step, so either get rid of a blocker or tap down an attacker. And then interesting, so this version is playing 21 Snow Islands. We've seen some play Otawaro, the blue channel land. And something interesting just to kind of mention with Untapped, you can see, notice these grayed out cards, so the Dreamshackle Geist and March of Swirling Mist. So I'm missing 2 copies of each of these. So it's like I said, with the collection sync, you can see if I kind of hover over here, I have 28 rares. I need 4 to build this deck, so it's a deck that I could easily build. Up next, Mono White Aggro, longtime stalwart of the best of 1 format, 350 games, 65% win rate. And really with Mono White, what you're looking at each week is where's kind of the 3-drop variation happening and if they're playing the Wandering Emperor or not. So some of the decks will just top out at Legion Angel, some won't even play the 4-drops, some will play a full play set of Wandering Emperors. This version here, you have 5 XL effects, Skyclave Apparition and Brutal Cathar, going with the full 4 Spellbinders, and then Redain as well. So typically these come in when they're expecting a little bit more control, big mana decks, like the Blood on the Snow style decks, the Esper control decks. I'm actually interested because if you look at like kind of the top performing decks, they're creature based right now. So it wouldn't be necessarily wrong, in my opinion, to go heavier on like the Skyclaves and the Brutal Cathar. You're also playing Portable Hole in this version, so these are just kind of like the little nuanced things. You'll also see sometimes the mana base changes. Sometimes they'll have the Crawling Baron package, so 2 to 3 Cave of the Frost Dragon, 2 to 3 Crawling Barons, just upping the count of creature lands. This week it looks like they're just on the 2 Cave of the Frost Dragons. And then with the sideboard here, you just have the Legion Angel package. And then we have Esper Agro, which is basically that mono white list we just looked at. Throw in some Rafines, throw in some Obscura Interceptors. I played this deck a bit, and it just felt like a slower mono white. You end up not impacting the board as early. You have a better top end, but you're not really getting ways to replenish your hand with Rafine. So you're basically just kind of churning through your deck, but you don't have like cards like Tenacious Underdog to take advantage or Kaido to get your card draw. The Interceptor is nice against like Meathook Massacre to kind of tempo them, and it is a lifelink body. But I largely just found this deck to be like a worse mono white deck because like you don't have plays on 1, you don't have plays on 2. You're reliant on 4 Brutal Cathars as your primary removal option. So it just makes you kind of worse overall. So Orzhov Angels is the next deck. So this is kind of a mid-rangey deck. So you have Giada, Font of Hope, which is kind of the engine of the deck. Ramps you into more angels. Each angel enters the battlefield bigger, stronger, faster, flyer. You got Luminarch as an honorary angel pumping the squad. Righteous Valkyrie is another anthem and gains you life. Youthful Valkyrie gets bigger. Euphorsia's Retribution for angels and kind of removal. Legion Angel package, Liaison on the top end, Elspeth in there. It's kind of more of a mid-rangey shell with an angel sub-theme. You got a bunch of sagas. The Restoration helps you ramp. Starheim's a good mana sink to make a whole crew of angels. Good removal in Bloodchief's Thirst and Vanishing Verse. And then Emirius Call adds some utility lands. And you got the Legion Angel sideboard. This one's at 63% win rate. Interesting deck here. We have a mono red, let's call it an artifact aggro deck. And I just want to see something. No, I just want to see rare wildcard count. This one's actually really budget friendly. So outside of the one Sokenzan and the Eater of Hope, it's really all uncommons common. So if you're looking for a budget standard deck, this is one to potentially check out. If you have Hives of the Eye Tyrant, play them. 18 lands is very interesting, but your curve is really low in this deck. So you have basically Patchwork Automaton gets bigger anytime you cast an artifact. You also have Sokenzan, which you can sacrifice artifacts for value and get creatures. So you have stuff like Daring Rapier, Flash equips auto, target creature gets +2/0. Eater of Virtue gets your creature bigger, and when it dies, those abilities kind of transfer over to the sword. So if you have like Trample, then the sword gets Trample as well. Fireblade Charger gets haste when it's equipped and deals damage equal to its power. Apprentice, you can kind of move the counters around. Kumano buffs your team. Battery for haste. There's the Ronin and Patchwork combo where you get to kind of keep putting counters on it. Voltage Surge and Roil Eruption is burn. So kind of an interesting budget deck. Nice. I like to include those in when we can. Then we have Mono Green Stompy. Another deck where if I want to build it, I'm missing 2 Mythics in Jugen, so need to craft those Mythics. But really with Mono Green, similar to Mono White, the core of the deck is always there. So you have your Blizzard Brawl, Werewolf Pack Leader, Rangers Class, Troll, Chariot, Uvenwald. The numbers that vary, sometimes Invokes, sometimes if they're on Kazandu Mammoths or not. This version's on the Jugen Saga instead. Sometimes they're on Sculptor Winter, sometimes they're not. So this one's playing a little bit larger, so the extra ramp makes sense. Sometimes they're on Pack Leader. Most of the time they are on Pack Leader, but I've seen some lists that forego it. You have Inscription as fight spells in this version here. Safekeeping for protection as well. Then we have Selesnya's Enchantments. So this is not quite runes. It's kind of a aggro-ish version, so no Hallowed Haunting in this version. So you're using the same engine, the Generous Visitor, to pump up your squad, Jukai to lower the cost of things. And this particular version is playing Weaver of Harmony. That is also an anthem to your enchantment creatures, but lets you double the activated or triggered abilities of enchantment sources. So this means on your Saga Chapter 1 and 2, you can double target creature gets plus whatever. You can exile 2 creatures. You can get 2 Wedding Announcement triggers. You can draw 2 cards with Spirited Companion. Notably with the sagas, you can't copy the 3rd chapter because the creature gets exiled. There's no flip side to that on the copied ability, so you don't get that. You have Kami as like kind of your engine to get big. Catilda's the top end that gives you flying and just a really big body to kind of crush in later on. So kind of an interesting aggro-ish version of green-white as opposed to the runes version. Then we have Mono Black. They're calling it Control, kind of mid-rangey shell. So we've seen variations of these in the past. It is a Blood on the Snow deck. This version here, we're seeing the Nighthawk Scavengers in there. Full 4 of Tenacious Underdog, so has the ability to go a little bit more aggressive if needed. You have your package of Eye Twitch as well as Shambling Ghast. You have the Deadly Dispute package for card draw. Removal, just all over the place. Meat Hooks, Wretched Sorrow, Infernal Grasp. You have 4 Invoke Despairs in there to draw you cards and blow up the world. Lulth and Sorin is your kind of grind advantage as well. Then you got your sideboard here, some Confront the Past, Sciences, Introduction, Necrotic Fumes, and Mascot Exhibitions. Lastly, Naya Tokens. This was from the set championship. It's kind of a mid-rangey shell. So you got Gala Greeters as like a life gain, big body, or treasure anthem. Plays really nicely with stuff like Wedding Announcements for multiple triggers. Luminarch's in there, Fables to kind of copy stuff. You got your Chariots, Wandering Emperor, interesting like War Chief. Fable with War Chief is like the closest we're going to have to Restoration Angel Thragtusk in Standard. And for those who've been following the channel for a while, my old arena name was Bant Wolfrun. I first started getting into competitive Magic during the Innistrad RTR Standard block, so I've spent years of my life, many a tournaments, blinking Thragtusk with Restoration Angel. So this is actually, now that I look at it, something I need to try out. You got Sanctuary Warden on the top end, so it's kind of a mid-rangey shell. I don't know, like it's showing a 58% win rate, and it could very easily kind of get people in the best of 1 format. It is fairly linear as well, which helps. I feel like at times this might be better suited in best of 3, where you can bring in more specified removal, but War Chief's gaining you life and giving you bodies behind, Chariots giving you blockers. The Greeters playing nicely with all these token enablers could also be reasonable in there. And that's pretty much it for the week. As always, I always include from feedback my Untapped profile. You can see what I'm playing. Like I said, I came in at 49 Mythic. You can track all your win rates, everything like that. You could see kind of my ascension. Last month I finished 575 on the ladder. I went 12-0 to end it, and then 16-0 with Alchemy Mono Green. This month I was playing a lot of Mono Red Explore ahead of the MIQ, which I qualified for. So that is going to be next weekend. It is best of 1 for the first week for the so it's a play-in for the qualifier for the play-in kind of thing. So I'm going to take Mono Red to it. I had a 70% win rate with it, kind of tailored to beat the Greasefang decks. So went through a Platinum to Diamond with this deck, and then I went up to Mythic with Alchemy Esper. So it's a take on Croaky's list. So I took his list, kind of just tweaked it to my own preference. Went 14-4 and best of 3 with it, and then got into number 49 Mythic with it. So that's where we're sitting right now. My second fastest Mythic climb. My fastest was I came in at 12 1 month. But just good run. You can see everything that I'm playing, the Alchemy Mono Green list and best of 1. And just kind of the decks I've tried out. If you're looking like Explore Rakdos, this was more when the Winota was in play. Mono Red and Historic, played a lot of games of this one here. So you can always kind of take a look, see what works for you. You can see kind of the collection tracking, wildcard counts, vault progress, just a whole bunch of useful information. You can also see in limited formats, so like the new draft format A22, you can see it there. You can also see events, so you can see like my record in events, so like the F&M events. Then you have got 2 7-0s in the Alchemy events, got a few 7-0s or 7 wins in Historic as well. So all just like really useful information is in there. 75% win rate in events, always good. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you have a great one. If you can, drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the video, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.